Welcome to Headwaters School, a community of homeschoolers in downtown Red Star, Arkansas.
You okay? You want to get down?
Most people think of school as a place you go away from your parents, away from your siblings. You're in your own little classroom with your teacher. Whereas we're a small school, this is all we've got, so we all hang out together.
Loaf of bread.
I'm Kate Cuff, and I'm a head teacher here at Headwaters School. Have to look in the book. There's a huge ant, yeah.
Wow.
I found that talking to them like the people they are has been very satisfying, and it's worked very well for them. There's fangs and palps. Palps are those little front legs that they use. So he's got front legs and palps. Yes. That is a very, very nice spider.
My name is Carol Ann Rose, and I'm a farmer and a musician. The one thing that's a little bit different about this school than, say, charter schools or public schools is that this school is not responsible for our children's education. We as parents are responsible for our children's education. This environment gives us a place where our kids can interact with other children and where they can interact with teachers other tthan their parents.
Mathematicians! Let's go play! Quick! Foursquare!
Even though we call it a school, and we do have an academic day, but it's really not to get children up to, say, a certain age level or performance level.
So now we're going to go to making problems for each other, all right?
My name is Rain Mako. And one of the things that attracted me here was that women here had had home births. So then it was real easy for me to go, oh yeah, that sounds great, of course, that's the way to go. And I had a home birth, and they were homeschooling their kids, and that looked good. It's like, yeah, that's a great thing to do. And I am a teacher at heart.
So who should I give them to? Just anybody?
Anna.
Anybody? Yeah.
You should give them all to Hannah. No.
My name is Lyndon Blazes. I've got two brothers. I've got Arlo and Miles. My parents are Rain and David Blazes Mako.
He says for me to give every single problem I write.
Let me see what you wrote.
My mom, Rain, knows a lot. She's getting to the point now when she's saying that I should take algebra courses now because I'm getting to the limit of what she knows. So she's actually now kind of having to learn the algebra to teach it to me.
100 bottles of beer on the wall, and some of them are Miller, and some of them are Bud Light. Oh, Bud.
Yeah.
Bud Light?
Bud Light.
And 3/4 of them are Bud Light. How many are Miller?
Isn't that great?
Topology is a study of shapes and how you can distort them.
This spring, for the first time, I took some classes up in community college in Rogers, a biology course and an English course.
2 edges and 2 sides. Now, does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
And it was kind of interesting because here I'm around people who they're all older than me, of course, and then they've been on the regime of the public school and every day, being in school all day.
One twist in the paper.
But then like the first day I got there, it just totally became obvious that I was going to be in the top tier, the people who knew the most.
But now there's only one side, so it does.
So now it doesn't have 2 sides anymore.
I think homeschooling, you kind of move at your own speed. And if you've learned something, you can move on then. If you haven't learned something, well then we'll stop here and go over it a couple more times. When you're homeschooled, since you're around more adults, what you learn a lot of is vocational skills.
I think it's very important that children learn how to work at a young age. We grow shiitake mushrooms, herbs, and edible flowers. So Silas has different responsibilities on the farm. He had decided a few years ago that he wanted to sell shiitake mushrooms at the farmer's market, and he was motivated by being able to keep the money.
It takes a while for the first customer to decide to buy. So the first one's the hardest. Even though I live on a mushroom farm, I've never really liked them, but I know other people like them.
All right, come on up here, Silas, and we were talking about the farmer's market a little bit. Maybe you'd like to tell us, how's that going?
Good.
I actually sent him to public school last year near the end of the school year, and it really made a huge positive impact on Silas's learning ability. In the long run, though, the fact that it's, 5 days a week, a 40-hour week, starting at kindergarten,
Can I get on?
is just a little bit too much for me to consider for children.
I think I'm the oldest kid that's going to school right now. When I was first coming to the school, I was always just a little guy, and if we play capture the flag, I might get somebody out of jail or something. But everybody was always faster than me, and I always looked up to the people who were the fastest and the best at the games.
Hail the conquering hero!
You guys want to start, or shall we start? And now that I'm the fastest and the best at the games, it's just kind of rewarding to have seen it through the whole procession. Shalom, everyone, shalom, everyone, shalom, shalom. We're glad that you've come for friendship and fun, shalom.
I've seen a lot of really wonderful interactions between the different ages that wouldn't have happened in a public school.
Yeah, we only picked one, so we need to pick wherever one we want.
Well, what one do you want?
Ocean or people in the Stella.
Oh no, we are not doing that.
1, 2, 3. We're a family and we're a tree. Our roots go deep down in history. From my great-great-granddaddy reaching up to me, we're a green and growing family.
Standing tall against the trees. There's Lenny Cuff, Anna Fry. What was her name? It's like I forget their names. Krista. That was Krista. My name's Margaret White, and I've been involved with Headwaters for 21 years. And my occupation really is gardener. I'm totally a passionate gardener. And raising my kids was just a part of gardening. Here are some pictures of our older school in Pettigrew, and it was a board and batten recycled building, and the children are all very little. In 1976 we were incorporated as a private school. There's Hal Cuff, one of the teachers.
I began teaching at Headwaters School with my husband Hal in, I think, 1982. I knew that I wanted my kids to be with me more than the kids who are going to public school. We were able to do the schoolwork in the mornings, and my kids were free in the afternoons there to explore our property. I see kids now that in town, and their time is so budgeted that they have so little time to actually just play in a creek or swim in the pond or hang out. I think it's, playing is really getting to be lost.
A real important part of our growing up is to experience the Mother Earth on a daily basis. To raise caring, loving children, you really have to keep them and make a caring, loving environment your best priority. To me, the public schools are totally lacking in that nurturing, loving environment. They have so many priorities that come above the children that I just think it's a terrible system to put them in when they're very young. We've always been a kind of a one-room schoolhouse.
It has the advantages in that the older kids are always there to help you if you're a younger child. It also gives the older kids who maybe aren't quite ready for the next step, maybe just developmentally they haven't moved on, they can still stay with the younger kids and do things that the younger kids are doing, and it's okay because we're all in one classroom.
Let's work on your smoothness of bow. Age segregation is really detrimental to children's health. I think they need people of all ages to be around them. My name is Sarah Miller. I teach jointly with Margaret White, and we do an arts and a crafts day on Friday. Good, Miles, good.
Here, take this one.
On that one, you have all the melody correct. I mean, your notes are all in the right order and stuff. Just work on your smoothness of bow and take because it's a waltz, you want it to be real smooth and graceful, so don't hesitate to use more of your bow on this. My experience in public school was that if you were a younger kid, the older kids treated you like dirt, and there was like this process of hazing that went through to be an older kid.
Everybody's interacting with everybody. So even though you might not grasp a whole idea,
hurled it away from himself and started to run again, simply because that was the last thing he had been doing.
Horrible, that 15-page story going to waste like that. You're around people who are doing higher academics than you are. So you just pick stuff up.
We had to go.
But you still had the 8 pages that he didn't
They've
need.
been slopping on.
But they probably still readable.
Most of the people who send their children here don't necessarily want them to learn the way of life that the standard American public school teaches.
When I started having my own children, I knew I didn't want to expose them to a lot of the falsehoods that's perpetrated by the public school system. History is a big falsehood. The histories that are taught glorify war, and that's just about all the history that we're made to learn is endless wars after war after war, and not too much about what really caused those wars and who was supporting those wars and what happened afterwards.
Being able to recite every general that fought in the Civil War is totally irrelevant, you know, but understanding why the Civil War was fought and for what causes and what the consequences were are infinitely more important.
It wasn't like, this is the most horrible thing, and why can't we figure out a way not to have war?
You know, when you talk about education and people think of, oh, you know, college, and here it's like, well, whatever they want to do, you know, that should be available to them.
And we really don't need to go to school to be intelligent, and I really think it's a shame that children come out of school lost and afraid and not knowing exactly what their gifts are that they were born with.
And if they want to go to college, great. And if what they really want to do is learn how to, you know, do painting or pottery or carpentry, that's great too.
This is a book made up by the students. They took various pictures of the building process and put them into an album. We got a very generous donation from an anonymous donor, and so we bought this land in 1995. My husband, Gary, was our main boss guy who told us exactly what to do. The building is a straw bale building, and it has timbers that the roof rests on. With a timber frame construction, there's no nails, and so what you put your wood together with is pegs instead of nails. The day the timbers were raised, it was like a huge work party. There were probably 40 people here because it takes many hands to raise up the timbers. And the kids that were old enough were right there too. And if they weren't, they were underfoot or watching us do it, so they must have learned something.
I would have known nothing about carpentry, but there's some fantastic carpenters in our community. Even though maybe I'd be like carrying tools to them or something like that, or getting them wood, not doing anything big and serious until recently. I was always learning something, watching what they were doing.
It's traditional in buildings to just leave one little section open where you can still see the bales and put a little frame around it, and it's called a truth window. We made 2, one for our short people and one for our tall people. And we chose to do tin because we're collecting water off the roof for our cistern. And we also have a radiant heat in the floor. So before we poured the cement floor, we put pipes in the floor that would circulate water, warm water, to heat the building. We just added our solar panels to heat the water to go in the floor before we were using the electric hot water. So, and we just installed a big tank.
The
importance of fundraisers, especially the Junebug Jam, is we get our site in order. We do the mowing, get rid of old stuff, get projects finished because everybody's coming to see us.
What is that, a raccoon? Yes. Is it asleep?
Yeah. Has been for a while, and for her to stay that way.
My name is Bob Billig, and I was one of the founding people who set up the school in the first place and incorporated it. And the school from that time became a social center, most of all when it moved here. I have 3 daughters, 2 of whom went to Headwaters, 1 of whom was the first, quote, graduate. We didn't know from fundraisers at the time, so it was whatever we could come up with. One of the local loggers brought us boards at times, said, here, I thought you folks would like this one, because they found a particularly nice wide oak board. And we built it with help from some people who were never involved in the school, but were part of the community of newcomers.
Are you happy? I'm happy to be here with all you beautiful people.
Try to smile, you guys. You look so good.
Can't count the music and smile at the same time. I'm sorry, Sarah.
It's all right.
We decided we wanted to have fundraisers for 2 reasons. One was to make some money, and the other was to have some fun. So we've called them fundraisers. Besides the fact making money, in the past we took out a loan for the school building, and so we had to come up with a certain amount of money each year to pay off the loan.
The thing about Headwaters is that it doesn't really have a set structure. It doesn't really have goals and what do they call it, a mission statement or something like that. It's a group of people that are individuals that are drawn together for various needs.
A great sense of community is very fulfilling for people. It is scary to be out in the world and think, oh my gosh, I have to do it all myself. I have to make all my money, I have to make all my decisions, I have to keep my vehicle running, I have to keep my house running. Then a person can get very worried. What happens if you get sick? What happens if you break your leg? It could be very scary. And here in this community, we all take care of each other, and it's a great feeling.
I mean, a lot gets done. I mean, the building gets built, the stage gets built, the property gets bought and maintained. And it's not because there's one person or a small group of people that are managing or directing it. It's because every person chooses to plug in and take responsibility for what they want to take responsibility for. It's amazing that it can hang together on so little structure.
Success stories. Well, in my opinion, they're all successful because they seem to be all happy, satisfied people.
I would rather that what we do shows us how well we're doing, how successful we are at things, and use that as a measure of how to improve or where to improve.
We have certain debt obligations we have to fulfill, so we have to make a certain amount of money to do that. You know, but as long as you're doing that and on a minimal level and being happy, you know, what more can you ask from life than to be happy?
I don't know what you mean by success.
I hope it's not too late for us to change our minds, to make a conscious choice. I wonder what we'd find if we sanctify